Hello and welcome to Last Week Was Weird, where we're bringing the weirdest headlines. And if you guys are new to this channel, please subscribe and we'll keep the weird news coming. Alright, so our first story is from Houston, Texas. After his fourth DUI, a San Antonio man tried to overturn his 4-year prison sentence by arguing that the legal limit on intoxicated drivers in Texas discriminates against, get this guys, alcoholics. Alcoholics? That's what I said, alcoholics. Where can I get some alcohol? So he's basically trying to say it discriminates against the job it's supposed to be doing. Pretty much. What it's protecting is what it's discriminating against. Ralph argued that the state drinking limit of 0.8 ignores the higher tolerance that frequent drinkers have. They said the state law wasn't unfair towards alcoholics, it was equal towards all drivers. Well, it doesn't seem like they have anything against alcoholics. They just have something against alcoholic driving. It's true. Would you want your bus driver driving on alcohol? Yeah, or maybe your ambulance driver? Seems like it's going to be a fun trip when we get that. You know, this actually reminds me of a similar story. A forklift driver ends up driving off a dock, ends up breaking his arms and legs. And then they ended up drug testing him and turned out to be positive for heroin. And that's not even the weirdest part. He ends up actually suing the company, stating that he should have never let a heroin addict drive a forklift. Ends up putting the company in absolute bankruptcy. Well, that's crazy. He won the case? Yeah, he won the case. Wow. He used to be a heroin addict. Did you know Utah's blood alcohol content level is 0.5, which is opposed to Texas, which is 0.8? Well, it's not a surprise to me. Everything's bigger in Texas. That's kind of true. Well, yeah, actually the real reason is because the majority is Mormons. And you know Mormons, they don't drink, and more importantly, they always vote. Now, is it Mormons and the Amish same people, or are they a different group? No, that's different people, man. Because I was about to say, how do they watch TV? How would they not have to vote? Actually, you want to hear it, Joe? Yeah, sure. Why do you always take 2 Mormons fishing? I don't know why. Well, if you only bring one, he'll drink all your beer. You know, Americans, they don't recognize the Queen. Protestants, they don't recognize the Pope. And Mormons don't recognize each other at the bar. Son of a bitch. Steve, you're always funny. That's why we bring you on the show. You're a good co-host. Thanks, Steve. We actually have another interesting story, Steve. Would you like to lead with it? Oh! Alright, our next story is from Pennsylvania. From a pastor who says he was counseling a young naked man inside of his car. It was tied up like a hog too, so I don't know what kind of counseling that was. Alright. Well, the young man was tied up inside of his car completely naked, wearing nothing but a nylon rope tied around him. What color was the rope? Well, I mean, it's nylon. Because maybe was it pink? I didn't look at the pictures. I was not interested. Well, you would know a lot more about the story if you know the color of the rope. Well, you want to look those up? Well, it seems like this pastor needs to, some kind of counseling himself, I would say. I agree with that. It's, I think he needs a lot more help with that. Yeah, tying up people and putting them in the back of his car. That's very interesting. In the backseat of his car was Georgie George, a 61-year-old pastor from the Church of West Homestead, Pennsylvania. Well, when police approached the vehicle, they found they could see Georgie rearranging his clothes, putting them back on. When they spoke to him, he said, "I have nothing to hide. I did nothing wrong." He said, "I was simply counseling the young man with a drug problem, and it just turned strange. But it wasn't my doing." Yeah, I would say so. There's absolutely nothing to hide. Everything was out there in the open. What else? What else is there? There was a lot of stuff in the open. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you cannot hide none of that. Well, this is a story on a woman in the UK, actually. Was it from the UK? Yeah, it goes from a down under, a land down under. That's Australia's the land down under. The story is actually about a woman in the UK that failed to appear in court. While police officers end up going to her home, end up searching her home for her, and actually they end up finding her, get this guys, with a laundry basket over her head, and not even a regular laundry basket, the ones that are see-through, you know, the mesh ones. Yeah, the mesh ones. And the funny part is, like, her whole torso and her legs are all sticking out. Yeah, and she was looking right at the cops while she was in the laundry basket. Yeah. The police said it was one for the books, and they posted it, I think, on Facebook, and they said, woman cop with laundry basket on top of her head. I don't know what the time is for that. Like, how can you put yourself in a laundry basket and suspect them not to? I guess she was in her, absolute hurry. She didn't know what to do. Yeah. I would have tried maybe putting myself in a dryer or washer. Maybe she felt like a dirty criminal. She just wanted to get clean. Pretty much. Well, this is a Utah story. A school in Utah has a policy when a boy asks a girl to a dance, she cannot refuse.
no matter who asks you to dance. You cannot refuse. Well, a Utah mother, heard about this. Naturally, she was very upset. She went to the principal, and the principal stated that we had never ever had an issue with this before, and said this policy has been going on for a while now.
Right.
So the mother said pretty much it sets a bad example to the boys, and letting them know that pretty much a girl has to do everything you say. Like, she cannot refuse you.
I mean, actually, that's true. And that kind of stuff, that's what leads to like rape and like just disrespect towards women.
Yeah, pretty much. And actually, one of the students took it as far as asking 10 girls to the dance. And figured they can't refuse.
That really happened?
It happened, so he ended up taking 10 girls with him.
Alright, our next story is from California. It's about a donkey that was leading a herd of goats and sheep through a neighborhood. It escaped from a neighboring city. The police, when they showed up at the scene, which was like around 12:30 a.m., they were all going through the neighborhood, just following the donkey all over the place. They said it was one for the books, and they posted it to their Facebook page. It was pretty interesting.
That is pretty interesting. For a jackass, he's a great leader.
Yeah, just everyone following around like sheeps. That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad.
And that's all, folks. How does that make you feel, John? Makes you wish that you went to that school when you were younger. Because you were an absolute loser. Alright, take them there, John.